It's October again, but for so many of us it has felt like October for 2 long years. 2 years of disbelief, 2 years of grief, 2 years of anger, 2 years of confusion, 2 years of losing friends and gaining allies, 2 years of war, 2 years have passed, and yet it feels like both an instant and an eternity. For those who lost loved ones, 2 years is a lifetime without them, and at the same time, it is still the first morning without her voice, the first night without her embrace. The world tells us life goes on, but for many, life has not moved forward. It has simply carried its weight. October 7th was not only a day of horror, it was also a rupture. It tore holes in our hearts the size of a country. Holes filled with names and familiar faces of strangers who became our brothers and sisters. I wrote these words in the early days when language itself was breaking under the weight of what we had seen. Abyss of infinity sadness. Grabbing, holding the throat. I can't breathe. This is what trauma feels like. The trauma doesn't leave. It takes root in the body, in the nervous system. It shows up in the way we jump at the sound of an airplane overhead, the sudden blur of a siren, or even fireworks in the night sky. And it surfaces in the words we hear around us, in the chants that echoes old hatreds, or in classrooms where our very right to exist is debated, as if it were abstract. As a mother, the grief sharpens into fear in ways I can't always explain. I hold my children tighter, breathing them as if I could protect them by not letting go. I want to give them a world where they don't have to be afraid. But I can't promise that. And then comes the innocent question, Mom, why are you crying? A question so simple, yet impossible to answer. Because how do you tell a child that your heart is breaking, not only from the trauma of October 7th, but also from the hatred that followed? That even thousands of miles away, the chants against Jews echo in their schools, on their campuses, in the street. This is what trauma does. It's still language. It intrudes on the everyday, in the coffee poured, in the news refreshed, even in silence, it shouts. And for us, that silence has too often been filled not with comfort, but with anti-Semitism. A reminder that the fear that we carry is not only about what happened there, but about what happens here. And alongside the trauma came another wound, invalidation. The silence of the world, the dismissal of our grief, the attempt to erase our pain. This is traumatic invalidation. It is when grief is politicized, when trauma is met not with empathy, but with erasure. For many of us, the second wound has been as searing as the first. I put into words then, and I want to say them aloud now. You cannot deny my history. You cannot deny my truth. You cannot deny my memory. You cannot deny my pain. You cannot deny me. I am here. That is what it means to survive. To insist on presence when the world tries to erase you. 2 years later, we carry both wounds, the horror of the day and the silence that followed. When I traveled to Israel with a delegation of professors and trauma experts, I arrived frozen, in despair. Sadness was everywhere, visible in every face, every corner. And when I came home, I returned to anti-Semitism and hate. I felt hopeless, but not anymore. Because what I have witnessed again and again is that we do rise. One day at a time, we rise. One day at a time, we get stronger. One day at a time, we lead change. When facing hate, I choose to fight with compassion. I choose to stay true to my values. They will not take that away from me. Post-traumatic growth does not mean the trauma is gone. It does not mean that grief is healed. It means we learn to carry the pain in a way that also leaves room for life. It is in our DNA as a people. From exile, we build renewal. From silence, we created songs. From despair, resilience. Growth doesn't come from forgetting, but from doing. It is the antidote of trauma. Choosing action when despair pulls us towards silence. Growth looks like showing up for one another, refusing to be passive bystanders. It looks like creating spaces where grief is spoken and honored, where suffering is validated and not erased. Growth is the act of choosing our values again and again as a way to steady ourselves in a world that feels unsteady. And growth is remembering that while fear connects us in our humanity, it is hope and courage that moves us forward. So 2 years later, there are still no words. The tears still find their way. The echoes of silent screams still fill the air. And yet, from our shared pain, we will turn the page and begin anew. From the depth of the abyss, we will hold on and won't let go of hope. From the tears of loss, we will learn not only to endure, but to grow and flourish. From memory, amid the ruins, we will build a future that remembers what others forget. From the tears of sorrow and the open graves, we will plant red and orange flowers. Despite the fear, we will rise up and say to the world, never again. Because to listen to a witness is to become a witness. And to be a witness is to carry responsibility. So today, I'm asking you not only to remember, but to commit. That we will not allow denial to silence us. We will not let hate strip us of our values. We will not be bystanders. We will be upstanders. So for those of you who are here today and are not Jewish, you chose to show up, you're a part of this commitment. Your presence is an act of courage, of solidarity, and of healing. When you stand with us, you remind us that the history and the story is not ours alone to carry. And let me say this clearly, anti-Semitism and hate are not just Jewish problems. History has shown us that it never ends with the Jews. When we tolerate hate against one group, we create permission for hate against others. Anti-Semitism is the connective tissue across all forms of extremism. And the bridges we build must be strong enough to resist it together. We can begin to build bridges of connectivity, bridges between grief and hope, between silence and voice, between one community and another, bridges that remind us that even across differences, we can choose to see one another's humanity. May the memory of those we lost be a blessing. May our grief guide us not to despair, but to courage. And may we as a people and as human beings choose again and again to rise from trauma, from grief, from invalidation, to hope, to healing, and to life. And may that rising begin with the safe return of every hostage so that families can be made whole again and our healing can truly take root.